Now I'm going to show you my 3 best exercises for working the upper body, and I'm going to use this machine here. It's called a cable machine, and you'll find it in every single gym. Now it tends to be the domain of the weights room where the boys tend to hang out, and I want you to make it your own because it's such a great piece of equipment. So shove the boys out the way and start using it because it's really good. So cables are great because you can do all sorts of different things with them. But what I want to show you is that as well as using the cable, you can replicate all these movements at home by using these 2 pieces of equipment here. Okay, so you've got just a straightforward exercise band, and you've also got a handle band. So the handle bands are really great because they're very similar to using the cable because you've got the handle there. But these are so cheap and easy to get and really, really useful. You can also chuck them in your bag and take them anywhere with you. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to do a back exercise that, as with all my exercise, focuses on the back. Yep, so you're going to turn your back, but we'll work the whole body at the same time. So I'm going to use 2 handles. So you'll always find 2 handles on a cable because you've always got 2 sides to the cable. Generally you've got 2 sides to the cable. So I've got a second handle here, and I'm going to just click that in. And we're going to do an exercise for the back. This is called a back pull down. I'm going to work with my arms in a long position. I'm going to keep my wrists nice and straight. I'm going to drop my weight down into my heels. So I'm doing like a half squat position, keeping my back up nice and tall, and then I'm going to pull down. And here's the important bit. Generally when people do this exercise, they do that, yeah, around the shoulders. You keep the shoulder blades back and down, and instead you're proud of your chest basically. You push your chest through slightly and you squeeze into your back muscles, and that's really important. It's also really important not to use too heavy a weight so that you can't get that range. If your weight's too heavy, maybe you'll go to here, yeah, and your shoulders will round. If your weight is slightly lighter, you can keep your shoulders back, and then you can go to here, and that's when you're going to maximize the squeeze in your back muscles. So we're working with a rep base of around 15 repetitions, and if you see my little weights circuit routine, you'll know why I prefer to work with a 15 to 20 repetition base rather than an 8 to 12 that you'll often see or be given in a gym, because I find this a lot more effective for being able to perfect your technique. If you're working to 8 to 12 reps, you tend to need a heavier weight, yeah, and that's when this is going to happen, yeah. So we need to be able to keep those shoulders back and keep that technique nice. I'm going to show you how I do this with a handle band at home. Yeah, you need to be able to position your band up high. Now you might find that you've got a hook over a door at the top that you can put it on, or maybe some banisters. Just make sure it's secure and it's not going to ping away. And then you can do exactly the same thing, literally mimic the move. Hey presto, for absolutely zilcho money, or maybe a few quid to buy your band, you've replicated your gym exercise. Now if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, we can basically use another tool. In the gym, you'll find one of these. It's called a BOSU, and it's a great tool for challenging your core, because by standing on the BOSU, I'll use the handles on the cable. By standing on the BOSU, I'm going to wobble around. Yep, I've got to use my core muscles and my legs a little bit more in order to stay balanced on the BOSU. So this is making it more challenging. Now if you're at home, you haven't got a BOSU, you can just use something rolled up. Now I've got a rolled up mat here, but you could use a rolled up towel, you could use a rolled up telephone directory, just put some sticky tape around it and roll it up. Put that into position, use your handled band, and then I'm going to wind it a little bit shorter, and then you're going to pull. Now one of the things you need to make sure when you're doing these exercises is that your cable or your band stays taut all the way through. You want to feel the tension and the pull of the band or the cable all the way through the action. What I'm also having to focus on is my core. So I'm pulling up through my core muscles. And your core muscles work deep inside you. So think of your pubic bone and your tailbone. Imagine pulling those 2 points together, pulling up inside, and that'll activate your pelvic floor. You then think of that line from your pubic bone up to your belly button and drawing up and tightening through this area. And you do it keeping your tailbone back, yeah? So you're not rounding your back as you pull up through your core. You're pulling up through your center, drawing your muscles in really tight, pulling your belly button back towards your spine. So that's your back exercise using good core control. I'm now going to show you an exercise which is going to work your chest. So I'm going to move the cable down. Now each cable in each gym may have a slightly different mechanism for moving. Here I've just got a lever that I'm just going to hook up, and then I'm going to move it down. So for the back exercise, you need your cable, your band positioned high. For the chest exercise, we want the cable or the band positioned at around or just above hip height. Yep. I'm then going to take a hold of my handle in one hand. I'm going to go into a lunge position. So this is going to work the legs a little bit. I'm going to drop down and I'm going to push. Now my chest to back strength is fairly equal. What you may find is that you find it harder to push than you do to pull down. So you might need to adjust your weight a little bit, work with a slightly lighter weight, or work with a slightly longer band or a lighter resistance band to work the chest. Because again, you want to work to that 15 to 20 repetition base. You're pulling through. Now here's the other trick with this one. You're in your lunge position, squeezing your buttocks, pushing your hips underneath you, making sure that your legs are challenged, but that you're not pushing forward into any knees, onto any part of your body that doesn't feel right. Yep, you're using your leg strength, using your butt strength, squeeze your butt cheeks underneath you. But what I'm also going to focus on, I don't know if you can see my action, it's as if I'm going for a run. Yep, I'm winding my waist up. So what you're doing by doing this type of action is using your waist muscles as well. And we like to use our waist muscles, so why not make the most of it while you can? Keep drawing your shoulders down and literally use one arm against the other. Yep. And obviously you need to change arms, so you do exactly the same thing on the other side, 15 to 20 repetitions of each. Work to 15. If your muscles feel fatigued, you can't keep the position, you can't keep doing it anymore, then you need to stop. If they're not fatigued, you feel you can keep going, take it up to 20. If you can get to 20 and you're still not fatigued, you can still feel you can do more, then you need to use a heavier weight. Yep. So my last exercise I'm going to show you, I'm now going to position this lower down. So I'm going to take my hook, lower it down. Yeah, make sure it's clicked in. There we go, there's the click. And then I'm going to work the back of the arm. And I'm definitely going to use a lighter weight for this one because we're focusing on a much smaller muscle area. So we've worked the chest, we've worked the back, we're now working on a smaller muscle area, so you need a lighter weight. Now one of the things I'm doing in this little 3 exercise routine is I'm focusing on the back of the arm. I never focus on the front of the arm here, and I'll tell you why. This muscle here, the bicep, do you know what, us girls are pretty good at working this already. Every time you pick something up, picking up the shopping, picking up your children, yet you're using that bicep muscle. Why would you then go in a gym and start doing this? You just don't need to. You're using that muscle all the time. It tends to stay really toned. The muscle you don't use, yep, is this one on the back. This is your tricep muscle. This is also an area where we tend to carry quite a lot of fat on the back of the arm. So the old expression bingo wings, yep, one of the reasons why we get that is because of that fat deposit, but also because we just don't use this muscle. So in every gym routine, you want to include exercise for this. Don't waste your time on this one, yep. So I'm going to work the back of the arm. I'm going to lift this cable up, yep, and take it back behind my head. Now, you've got to use your core muscles when you're doing this. So lock your core in, take the arms back behind the head, and I'm in a lunge position, split lunge position, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I was doing with the chest exercise. I'm going to push my hips underneath me, draw the shoulder blades back and down. Now the difference here is that the cable is pulling me backwards, yep? So I've got to lock in with my abs. Very important to stop the back getting any stress or strain. You do not want to hurt your back. So make sure you're using a light weight and make sure you're using your abs. You then extend up using the back of the arm. What I suggest you do is you do 7 to 8 repetitions and then you change legs. So you're still working the arms in exactly the same way. Keep your shoulder blades drawn back and down and then press overhead. Very common mistake in this exercise is to again round the shoulders. Yep. Keep your shoulders back and down, keep your head looking straight ahead and then extend at bend. I'm also going to show you how to do this using this band here. You can do it at home. And you can literally place your foot over one end of the band, take a hold of the other end of the band, pull your stomach muscles in nice and tight, and extend and bend. So you've got your pull down, work the back, challenge the core, make yourself unstable with either both or something rolled up. You've then got your chest press, go in a lunge position, work the legs. Also add some rotation, work the waist. You've then got your overhead press, working the tricep, back of the arm. Do each exercise 15 to 20 repetitions. Do it once. If you feel fatigued, fine. If you feel you could do some more, repeat it a second time. If you could do some more, repeat it a third time. Aim to do these exercises at least twice a week. As you get stronger, build up to 3-4 times a week, and I'll guarantee you'll see a difference in your arms.